Apology and forgiveness in mediation. What is simple but at the same difficult act? To say you are deeply sorry. It is natural for most of us to say sorry if we do something wrong in our daily life, in communication with spouse, neighbors. In such circumstances, we use an apology instinctively, but we tend to forget that simply tiny word when we deal with legal disputes. We often overlook the power of genuine apology while solving legal disputes. Mediation, as you know, is a dispute resolution procedure assisted by a third neutral person, mediator, where the parties are given the chance to communicate openly between each other, share their thoughts and sincere feelings about the disputes, its origins, parties' relationship in the past and future, possible dispute resolution outcomes. From one hand, this sincerity usually is difficult to reach without an apology, but from another hand, mediation creates a climate in which apology and reconciliation are possible. Apology is closely connected to forgiveness because they both refer to the dispute and person attitudes to it. Apology involves acknowledgement of hurtful or wrongful conduct, empathy, whereas forgiveness involves a harmed party's ability to open up his heart and release negative emotions. It is the beginning and the end of the same road to understanding, accepting the responsibility, and avoiding blaming the others. That way helps parties to challenge themselves, learn and get experience how to value apology and forgiveness in resolving disputes and how engage into these processes. However, it has to be kept in mind that, like other important rituals, apology requires the right people, the right time, and the right place. But mediators should not expect apology to work magic in all or even most of the cases. Thus, as well as mediation, apology cannot be a miracle cure for all disputes. Simple sorry will not always save parties time and money or mend relationships. But let's take a closer look at an apology and afterwards forgiveness in mediation. The original meaning of the word apology is defense. Modern understanding of the word apology has more than one way. We can see it as a confession, defense, an admission of wrongdoing, expression of regret, and even effort to get rid of the fault. The meaning and aim of apology may differ as the person uses it while solving the dispute and giving different meaning to that action. The meaning of apology can even vary depending on who uses that term: mediator, party that behaved dishonestly, or party that suffered damages. Even verbal expressions of apology will be different depending on the understanding and purpose of apology that person has. For instance, a party may apologize by saying, "Forgive me," and can do it by saying, "I'm sorry." In the first statement, the person makes his apology dependable on the acceptance of the other party, its reaction. Whereas the second statement sounds more as an ascertaining of the status or emotion of a person and not requiring forgiveness from the other party. Apology can be defined as an active process of acknowledging illegal or dishonest behavior expressed to the other party and accompanied by a regret. Apology is not possible to bring passively. The person is expected to express his acknowledgement of wrongdoings and remorse in an active way. Verbal, non-verbal, take appropriate actions. Apology is a process, but not a merely one-time moment action, because it can take time for a person to apologize. In the context of dispute resolution where other party exists, it is important to apologize in the way that the other party receives an apology. In that sense, apology should, in its essence, be a public action limited to the confidentiality requirements of mediation. If a person's aim is to bring an apology notwithstanding the fact that the other party has received it, such action could satisfy only personal needs of the deliverer of an apology, or even knowing beforehand that such apology won't be received by the other party, such action should not be considered an apology. Today it is very popular to say that nobody taught us how to apologize. It was only said when we were children, go and say that you are very sorry for that. But it is very important to understand not only intuitively, but also objectively what constitutes an effective apology. This understanding is critically important for a mediator so that he may advise and guide a disputing party who wants to apologize during mediation. In order for apology to be accepted as true and sincere, it should be complete. A party bringing an apology has to acknowledge the wrongdoing. That's the first element. That component is not possible without understanding specifically how the person harmed the other party. If a party says, "I'm sorry for how you feel," but not "I'm sorry for what I've done," such party rejects the mere fact that the other person was harmed because of his deeds. Thus, such apology lacks the first element of recognition of the fault. While taking responsibility upon harm done to the others, the party may not defend, try to evade being blamed, shift the blame to the circumstances or to other people, even if there is only a partial fault. Thus, statement, "I'm sorry I'm late, but there was a huge traffic jam in the center," is not a proper apology because it defends the actions of the person who apologizes. Statement as "I will apologize if you apologize" is also not a true apology because of condition enclosed in the statement. True apology is made not expecting any apology in return. Demonstration of remorse should be active, as long as a harmed person needs to see and hear that remorse. Restitution depends on the kind of offense and the resources that an offender has. Usually, restitution is expected to take a tangible form, paying monetary compensation, repairing of a damaged object, replacing it with another, making a discount. Because in that tangible form, restitution is the most affirmative. But restitution may also take the form of statement that is directed to future. For instance, promise to take care of somebody, to attend courses, or even take some treatment. The last element of non-repetition of wrongdoing allows the party that brings an apology to prove by his post-apology behavior that the person learned the lesson. Thus, the power of apology in mediation is obvious. That's why mediators should introduce the possibility of apologizing for the parties, or even make a gentle push to encourage them to use apology. A mediator's reception of the role of apology in mediation plays a major role in its effectiveness. Mediator not only encourages the parties to use apology, but also educates them how to do that properly so apology is complete and effective. However, both excessive fosterage and insufficient motivation of the parties to use apology in mediation can become an obstacle for optimal, in terms of result, time and expenses, dispute resolution, if not to preclude parties from solving the dispute. If mediator advocates too strongly for an apology and persuades the party to apologize, the recipient of the apology perceives it as a coerced apology and does not recognize it as sincere. That is why mediators should carefully prepare for mediation. Get to know the mediation participants, relationship between the parties, determine whether the personalities engaged in mediation are conducive to make an apology. Also, if they have interpersonal orientation. Persons with a high interpersonal orientation take another side's arguments and act personally. They are sensitive to another side's behavior. Persons with a low interpersonal orientations are interested only in their own benefit, without any interest in another party. These roles could help to guess whether an apology could be possible in a mediation process. For example, if the injured party has a high interpersonal orientation, he is more likely to desire and appreciate an apology. A refusal to apologize to such a party may undermine the chances of reconciliation. Still, apology in mediation has a lot of critics and hurdles too. Critics says that it is possible that one party could settle for the apology instead of pursuing substantial monetary damages, and that could be named as ill-served mediation. Another hurdle could be that lawyers ignore the possibility of apology because of the stereotype that lawyers must be aggressive. Another hurdle is the fear of liability. It is strange, but sometimes it seems that lawyers are afraid of true and sincere apology in dispute resolution, as long as there is a risk of being misunderstood if somebody holds your apology or apology of your client as recognition of the fault. That is why some lawyers propose to their clients who are afraid of making an apology because of possible legal consequences to say sorry not for what they have done, but for how the other party feels. On the one hand, such evasion of real apology looks like one more trick in the arsenal of a lawyer who would like to win the dispute without giving in. But on the other hand, it is a signal to take a thought about attitude of lawyers towards an apology. Non-sincere apology constitutes misusing of apology and can serve as an example for mediators what kind of apologies should be avoided in mediation. Thus, before raising the question of apology, mediators should consider many behavioral, procedural, and interpersonal aspects. If a party is showing signs of willingness to apologize, mediators should consider if individual meetings with the parties have to be organized beforehand to understand general motivations of the parties. If the party who is willing to apologize understands what she is apologizing for, if planned apology is complete and sincere, if the party who is expected to accept an apology is ready to do that, and what could be her reaction to an apology. And of course, would it be a timely apology, or it is too early or too late? If a party apologizes during joint mediation session, mediator can also pose questions so that each party understands properly the act being made and is given possibility to value apology. So, apology is a huge step towards restoring of relations, hence not the only one. Despite of sincere apology, we need to be sure that it was accepted. Forgiveness, as most dictionaries define, is the act of forgiving somebody, willingness to forgive somebody. This person who forgives chooses to forget harm and to refuse to revenge by using various means, including one of the most popular nowadays, litigation. Unfortunately, contemporary society focuses more on searching means for compensating damages, but not on sincere forgiveness and the restoration of social peace between parties to a conflict. Mediation, owing to the confidentiality of the process, provides an ideal forum for the type of honest dialogue that can lead not only to apology, but also to forgiveness. During mediation, it is common to notice that people feel hurt by each other, and it causes bad emotions. In one situation, very frequent, such people blame each other and are searching for any kind of compensation. Thus, in other situations, one is trying to cope with negative emotions. Natural that to do so he or she has to change his appreciation to another individual. So, forgiveness also means acceptance of the individuals or situations. Often in mediation, it is very important to understand. Forgiving looks quite simple, but really shows that to forgive sincerely is more difficult than to apologize. It cannot be treated as losing positions and giving in. One function of mediator should be explaining to the parties the meaning of apology and forgiveness in order to avoid situations of misunderstanding. Forgiveness often is described as independent action of person. This stresses that only deliberate forgiveness is making mediation effective. Evaluating mediation is a method of legal dispute resolution. It should be stated that not only sole forgiveness helps parties to find peace in these relations. Forgiveness in legal disputes may be supplemented by certain compensatory means, which must be just and suitable for both parties to a conflict. Forgiveness in mediation is significant if it is sincere and deliberated. It should be stated that during mediation it is easier to reach an apology to compare with forgiveness. Forgiveness in most of the cases is reachable only after mediation session, because during mediation, especially holding one-day meeting, it is impossible for a person to feel if he is ready to declare the forgiveness. In such situations, person cannot be hurried up. It is upon individual when the right time comes. Forgiveness must be not necessarily rendered for person who made an apology. It may be internal act of individual made on the right time when person is sure that he can forgive and go on with his life without negative emotions which were caused by a conflict. Forgiveness is very personal, and its meaning may vary depending on person who provides it. During the mediation, understanding of both parties towards forgiveness should be clarified. Mediators should work with both parties together and separately to get acquainted with their personal attitudes towards what is happening. In some cases, possible that hurt person forgives, having in mind that he would like never to meet another party to a dispute again. In other situations, forgiving person can have expectation to carry on relations or even make them more intense. Such attitudes may do not coincide between the parties, and it may lead to new conflicts which should be prevented. It creates more objectives to mediator, and he must be ready to face all obstacles which can follow in the process of mediation after apology and forgiveness. Success in mediation more often is reachable when apology and forgiveness are provided. It encourages parties to rebuild trust between each other and to find ways out from difficult situations. Still, to make it happen, it is a difficult, time-consuming and responsible goal, which commonly is raised for mediators. Thus, mediators should be ready to help in building bridges between people who would like to apologize and are brave enough to forgive. Thank you for watching this video.